Have you ever found yourself, maybe late at night, hunting for a sweet snack even when you know you're not actually hungry? Or, wondered why that slice of cake seems to be calling your name from across the room? Well, it turns out the reason has a lot less to do with your willpower and way more to do with brain chemistry. Sugar has basically found a way to outsmart a system in your brain that's been around for millions of years. Okay, let's get into it.
It's a feeling we all know, right? That pull. And the answer, it's not simple. It lies deep inside our brains. It's this complex dance of chemistry and evolution. It's really a story about a reward system that was designed to help us survive and how the modern food world has kind of learned how to hijack it.
I mean, come on. Just looking at these can kickstart that craving. Is your mouth watering a little bit? Yeah, mine too. That powerful feeling is exactly what we're going to break down. See, these aren't just foods. They are powerful sensory experiences that our brain has learned to absolutely love. The big question is, why?
So to figure this all out, we first need to know what we're actually up against. What even is sugar? Because as we're about to see, it is a master of disguise.
Okay, so scientifically, sugar is just a general name for a type of molecule called a carbohydrate. You find them in a ton of different foods and drinks. It sounds simple enough, right? Well, that's kinda where the simplicity ends.
And here's where it gets tricky. Sugar has a whole bunch of aliases. If you're a label reader, you're not always going to see the word sugar. Instead, you'll find this whole crew of scientific names. And you gotta know, whether it's called glucose or high fructose corn syrup, your brain pretty much treats them all the same way.
And because it has so many different names, sugar can pop up in some really unexpected places. I mean, we expect it in dessert, of course, but it's also added as stuff we might think of as healthy, like tomato sauce, a lot of yogurts, and even those granola bars. It is, pretty much everywhere.
All right, so you've just taken a bite of something sweet. What happens in that split second? Let's follow that signal, starting from your tongue and tracing it all the way to the brain.
This whole journey happens almost instantly. The second sugar hits your tongue, these little sweet receptors just light up and fire off a signal. From there, it zips to your brainstem, it forks off, and it heads to your cerebral cortex. That's the part that goes, "Hey, that's sweet!" But the most important stop, the grand finale of this trip, is the brain's reward system. And this reward system, this is where things get really, really interesting. This system is basically at the heart of our cravings, our habits, so much of our behavior. So what's its job? Well, it's always working, kind of humming along in the background, helping you make survival decisions without you even thinking about it. It's all about evaluating what you do and answering one single crucial question that you're not even aware you're asking.
This. Should I do that again? That wave of pleasure you get from a really good dessert, that is your brain's reward system lighting up like a Christmas tree and screaming, "Yes, remember this feeling, we should absolutely do that again." It's a really powerful primal way our body reinforces behaviors that are good for survival.
The chemical messenger that makes this whole show run is dopamine. You've probably heard of it. It's a neurotransmitter, and it's basically the main currency of this entire reward system. When you feel that sense of pleasure or reward after doing something, yep, that's a surge of dopamine at work. And it is definitely not just about food. This exact same system gets activated by all kinds of rewarding things. Hanging out with friends, romantic stuff, and also on a much more intense level by drugs like alcohol, nicotine, and heroin. It's a fundamental part of how we're wired. But here's the twist. Here's the catch. The brain reacts to sugar differently than it does to most other foods. Remember how I said sugar outsmarts the system? Well, this is how. It exploits a little loophole in this ancient reward pathway.
Okay, so let's say you eat a healthy, balanced meal. The first time you have it, your dopamine levels spike, like you see in this first high bar. It's new, it's rewarding, it's great. But if you eat that same exact meal again and again, notice what happens in those next two bars. The dopamine response gets weaker, and it eventually just kind of levels off. The meal loses its special novelty.
And this is actually a brilliant evolutionary design. Our brains evolved to push us to find a variety of foods to make sure we get all the different nutrients we need. So if a food starts to get boring, the reward fades, and that encourages us to go find something new to eat. Pretty smart, right?
But sugar, sugar is different. When you eat sugary foods, that dopamine response, it doesn't level out. As you can see from these bars, the first bite is super rewarding.
The 10th bite is just as rewarding, and the 100th bite is still just as rewarding. The brain just never seems to get tired of it.
And that right there, that's the loophole. Sugar just keeps blasting that reward system with the same intensity over and over again. This is literally why it's so easy to eat an entire bag of candy, but it would be really, really hard to eat an entire bag of broccoli in one sitting.
So, what does this all mean? What's the verdict? Well, this constant activation of our reward pathway, it can have some pretty serious consequences. It can actually change our behavior and even our brain over time. Now, let's be really clear about something. Sugar is not the same as a drug like heroin. As you can see here, addictive drugs send the dopamine system into a massive, massive overdrive that sugar just can't match. But, and this is a big but, they do use the same neural machinery. This means that overdoing it on sugar can lead to really similar patterns of behavior. We're not talking about a clinical addiction, but we are talking about powerful cravings and that feeling of losing control.
So when you keep overactivating this system again and again, it can create this kind of domino effect. First, maybe a loss of control, where you eat more than you meant to. Then come the intense cravings when you try to stop. And eventually, you can build up an increased tolerance, which means you need even more sugar to get that same rewarding feeling you used to. And that really is the heart of it. This quote just nails the whole puzzle. Unlike most other foods that our brains naturally regulate, the reward from sugar, it just keeps on coming.
Okay, so where's that leave us? After hearing all of this about our brains, should we just swear off sugar forever? Is that occasional treat actually doing all this damage?
And the answer is no, of course not. The science isn't saying that one bite of cake is bad for you. The real takeaway here is all about overconsumption. Understanding how sugar plays with our brain's reward system, that's empowering. It explains why saying no can be so hard sometimes, but it also reassures us that enjoying a slice of cake every once in a while is perfectly fine. The real key is just knowing what's happening inside your head when you do.